Dead Sea Scrolls. Leviticus. 4Q25 Leviticus C. Language, Hebrew. Date, before 68 AD. Location, Qumran Cave 4. Leviticus 1. 1 Yahweh called to Moses, and spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying. 2 Speak to the children of Israel, and tell them, when any one of you offers an offering to Yahweh, you shall offer your offering of the livestock, from the herd and from the flock. 3 If his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, he shall offer a male without defect. He shall offer it at the door of the tent of meeting, that he may be accepted before Yahweh. For he shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. 5 He shall kill the bull before Yahweh. Aaron's sons, the priests, shall present the blood and sprinkle the blood around on the altar that is at the door of the tent of meeting. 7 The sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire on the altar, and lay wood in order on the fire. Leviticus 2. 9 The priest shall take from the meal offering its memorial, and shall burn it on the altar, an offering made by fire, of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. 10 That which is left of the meal offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. Leviticus 3. 16 The priest shall burn them on the altar, it is the food of the offering made by fire, for a pleasant aroma, all the fat is Yahweh's. 17 It shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings, that you shall eat neither fat nor blood. Leviticus 4. 1 Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying. 2 Speak to the children of Israel, saying, if anyone sins unintentionally, in any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and does any one of them. 3 If the anointed priest sins so as to bring guilt on the people, then let him offer for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bull without defect to Yahweh for a sin offering. For he shall bring the bull to the door of the tent of meeting before Yahweh, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the bull, and kill the bull before Yahweh. 5 The anointed priest shall take some of the blood of the bull, and bring it to the tent of meeting. 6 The priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before Yahweh, before the veil of the sanctuary. 12 He shall carry the whole bull outside of the camp to a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire. Where the ashes are poured out, it shall be burned. 13 If the whole congregation of Israel sins, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and are guilty. 14 When the sin in which they have sinned is known, then the assembly shall offer a young bull for a sin offering, and bring it before the tent of meeting. 23 If his sin, in which he has sinned, is made known to him, he shall bring as his offering, 1 A goat, a male without defect. 24 He shall lay his hand on the head of the goat, and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before Yahweh. It is a sin offering. 25 The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He shall pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering. 26 All its fat he shall burn on the altar, like the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, and he will be forgiven. 27 If any one of the common people sins unwittingly, in doing any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and is guilty. 28 If his sin, which he has sinned, is made known to him, then he shall bring for his offering a goat, a female without defect, for his sin which he has sinned. Leviticus 5. 12 He shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his handful of it as the memorial portion, and burn it on the altar, on the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. It is a sin offering. 13 The priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin that he has sinned in any of these things, and he will be forgiven, and the rest shall be the priest's, as the meal offering. Leviticus 8. 26 And out of the basket of unleavened bread, that was before Yahweh, he took 1 unleavened cake, and 1 cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer, and placed them on the fat, and on the right thigh. 27 He put all these in Aaron's hands and in his sons' hands, and waved them for a wave offering before Yahweh. 28 Moses took them from their hands, and burned them on the altar on the burnt offering. They were a consecration for a pleasant aroma. It was an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Leviticus 9. 7 Moses said to Aaron, Draw near to the altar, and offer your sin offering, and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself, and for the people, and offer the offering of the people, and make atonement for them, as Yahweh commanded. Leviticus 16. 32 The priest, who is anointed and who is consecrated to be priest in his father's place, shall make the atonement, and shall put on the linen garments, even the holy garments. 33 Then he shall make atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make atonement for the tent of meeting and for the altar, and he shall make atonement for the priests and for all the people of the assembly. Leviticus 22. 28 Whether it is a cow or you shall not kill it and its young both in one day. 29 When you sacrifice a sacrifice of thanksgiving to Yahweh, you shall sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. 1. Here the scroll contains a correction. After the word, offering, the scroll has the words, which he sinned, crossed out. For Q26 Leviticus D. Language, Hebrew. Date, before 68 AD Location, Qumran Cave 4. Leviticus 14, 27 And the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before Yahweh. 28 Then the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the place of the blood of the trespass offering. 29 The rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put on the head of him who is to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before Yahweh. 33 Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, 34 When you have come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put a spreading mildew in a house in the land of your possession. 35 Then he who owns the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, There seems to me to be some sort of plague in the house. 36 The priest shall command that they empty the house, before the priest goes in to examine the plague of spreading mildew, that all that is in the house not be made unclean. Afterward the priest shall go in to inspect the house. Leviticus 15. 20 Everything that she lies on in her impurity shall be unclean. Everything also that she sits on shall be unclean. 21 Whoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. 22 Whoever touches anything that she sits on shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. 23 If it is on the bed, or on anything whereon she sits, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until the evening. 24 If any man lies with her, and her monthly flow is on him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and every bed whereon he lies shall be unclean. Leviticus 17, 2 Speak to Aaron, and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. 3 Whatever man there is of the house of Israel or of a stranger who lives as a foreigner in Israel, who kills a bull, or lamb, or goat, in the camp, or who kills it outside the camp. 4 And hasn't brought it to the door of the tent of meeting, to make it a burnt offering or a peace offering to Yahweh to be acceptable as a sweet-smelling incense, but has slaughtered it outside and does not bring it to the door of the tent of meeting, 1. To offer it as an offering to Yahweh before Yahweh's tabernacle, blood shall be imputed to that man. He has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people. 5 This is to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they sacrifice in the open field, that they may bring them to Yahweh, to the door of the tent of meeting, to the priest, and sacrifice them for sacrifices of peace offerings to Yahweh. 6 The priest shall sprinkle the blood on Yahweh's altar at the door of the tent of meeting, and burn the fat for a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. 7 They shall no more sacrifice their sacrifices to the goat idols, after which they play the prostitute. This shall be a statute forever to them throughout their generations. 8 You shall say to them, Any man there is of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who live as foreigners among them, who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice. 9 And doesn't bring it to the door of the tent of meeting, to sacrifice it to Yahweh, that man shall be cut off from his people. 10 Any man of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who live as foreigners among them, who eats any kind of blood, I will set my face against that soul who eats blood, and will cut him off from among his people. 11 For the life of all flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to make atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that makes atonement by reason of the life. 1 This reading is also in the LXX and the Samaritan Pentateuch. For Q26a Leviticus E. Language, Hebrew. Date, before 68 AD. Location, Qumran Cave 4. Leviticus 3. 2 He shall lay his hand on the head of his offering, and kill it at the door of the tent of meeting, and Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood around on the altar. 3 He shall offer of the sacrifice of peace offerings an offering made by fire to Yahweh, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that is on the innards. 4 And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take away. 5 Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar on the burnt offering, which is on the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire, of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. 6 If his offering for a sacrifice of the peace offerings to Yahweh is from the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without defect. 7 If he offers a lamb for his offering, then he shall offer it before Yahweh. 8 And he shall lay his hand on the head of his offering, and kill it before the tent of meeting, and Aaron's sons shall sprinkle its blood around on the altar. Leviticus 19. 34 The stranger who lives as a foreigner with you shall be to you as the native born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you lived as foreigners in the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. 35 You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in measures of length, of weight, or of quantity. 36 You shall have just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin. I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. 37 You shall observe all my statutes, and all my ordinances, and do them. I am Yahweh. Leviticus 20. 1 Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, 2 Moreover, you shall tell the children of Israel, any one of the children of Israel, or of the strangers who live as foreigners in Israel, who gives any of his offspring to Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. 3 I also will set my face against that person, and will cut him off from among his people because he has given of his offspring to Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. 27 A man or a woman that is a medium, or is a wizard, shall surely be put to death, they shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Leviticus 21. 1 Yahweh said to Moses, Speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, A priest shall not defile himself for the dead among his people. 2 Except for his relatives that are near to him, for his mother, for his father, for his son, for his daughter, for his brother. 3 And for his virgin sister who is near to him, who has had no husband, for her he may defile himself. For he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. 9 The daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing the prostitute, she profanes the house of her father. She shall be burned with fire. 10 He who is the high priest among his brothers, upon whose head the anointing oil is poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not let the hair of his head hang loose, or tear his clothes. 11 He must not go into any dead body, or defile himself for his father, or for his mother. 12 He shall not go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God, for the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am Yahweh. 21 No man of the offspring of Aaron the priest who has a defect shall come near to offer the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. Since he has a defect, he shall not come near to offer the bread of his God. 22 He shall eat the bread of his God, both of the most holy, and of the holy. 23 He shall not come near to the veil, nor come near to the altar, because he has a defect, that he may not profane my sanctuaries, for I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. 24 So Moses spoke to Aaron, and to his sons, and to all Israel. Leviticus 22. For whoever of the offspring of Aaron is a leper or has an issue, he shall not eat of the holy things, until he is clean. Whoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose offspring goes from him, 5 Or whoever touches any unclean creeping thing, whereby he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanness, whatever uncleanness he has. 6 The person that touches any such shall be unclean until the evening, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he bathes his body in water. 11 But if a priest buys a slave, purchased by his money, he shall eat of it, and such as are born in his house, they shall eat of his bread. 12 If a priest's daughter is married to an outsider, she shall not eat of the heave offering of the holy things. 13 But if a priest's daughter is a widow, or divorced, and has no child, and has returned to her father's house, as in her youth, she may eat of her father's bread, but no stranger shall eat any of it. 14 If a man eats something holy unwittingly, then he shall add the 5th part of its value to it, and shall give the holy thing to the priest. 15 The priests shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer to Yahweh. 16 And so cause them to bear the iniquity that brings guilt, when they eat their holy things, for I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. 17 Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying. 18 Speak to Aaron, and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, Whoever is of the house of Israel, or of the foreigners in Israel, who offers his offering, whether it is any of their vows, or any of their freewill offerings, which they offer to Yahweh for a burnt offering, for Q26 be Leviticus G, language, Hebrew. Date, before 68 AD Location, Qumran Cave 4. Leviticus 7. 19 The meat that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten. It shall be burned with fire. As for the meat, everyone who is clean may eat it. 20 But the soul who eats of the meat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, that belongs to Yahweh, having his uncleanness on him, that soul shall be cut off from his people. 21 When anyone touches any unclean thing, the uncleanness of man, or an unclean animal, or any unclean abomination, and eat some of the meat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which belong to Yahweh, that soul shall be cut off from his people. 23 Speak to the children of Israel, saying, You shall eat no fat, of bull, or sheep, or goat. 24 The fat of that which dies of itself, and the fat of that which is torn of animals, may be used for any other service, but you shall in no way eat of it. 25 For whoever eats the fat of the animal, of which men offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, even the soul who eats it shall be cut off from his people. 26 You shall not eat any blood, whether it is of bird or of animal, in any of your dwellings. For Q119 Septuagint Leviticus A, language, Greek. Date, 100 to 25 BC Location, Qumran Cave 4. Leviticus 26. 2 You shall keep my Sabbaths, and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am Yahweh. 3 If you walk in my statutes, and keep my commandments. For then I will give you rains in your land in their season, and the land shall yield its increase, and the fruit trees of the field shall yield their fruit. 5 Your threshing shall reach to the vintage, and the vintage shall reach to the sowing time. You shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land safely. 6 And I will give peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and no one will make you afraid. I will remove evil animals out of the land, neither shall war go through your land. 7 You shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. 8 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 10,000, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. 9 I will have respect for you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and my covenant will be with you. 10 You shall eat old store long kept, and you shall move out the old because of the new. 11 I will set my tent among you, and won't abhor you. 12 I will be your God, and you will be my people. 13 I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their slaves. I have broken the yoke of your bars, and made you go upright. 14 But if you will not listen to me, and will not do all my commandments. 15 And if you shall reject my statutes, and if your soul abhors my ordinances, so that you will not do all my commandments, but break my covenant. 16 I also will do this to you, I will appoint terror over you, even consumption and fever, that shall consume the eyes, and make the soul to pine away. You will sow your seed in vain, for your enemies will eat it. For Q120 Septuagint Leviticus B. Language, Greek. Date, before 100 to 1 BC. Location, Qumran Cave 4. Scroll type, papyrus. Leviticus 1. 11 He and they shall kill it on the north side of the altar before Yahweh. Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle its blood around on the altar. Leviticus 2. 3 That which is left of the meal offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a most holy thing of the offerings of Yahweh. For, when you offer an offering of a meal offering baked in the oven, 1, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. 5 If your offering is a meal offering made on a griddle, it shall be of unleavened fine flour, mixed with oil. 7 If your offering is a meal offering of the pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. 8 You shall bring the meal offering that is made of these things to Yahweh, and it shall be presented to the priest, and he shall bring it to the altar. Leviticus 3. 4 And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take away. 7 If he offers a lamb for his offering, then he shall offer it before Yahweh. 9 He shall offer from the sacrifice of peace offerings an offering made by fire to Yahweh, its fat, the entire tail fat, he shall take away close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is on the inwards. 10 And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take away. 11 The priest shall burn it on the altar, it is a sacrifice of sweet savor, the food of the offering made by fire to Yahweh. 12 If his offering is a goat, then he shall offer it before Yahweh. 13 And he shall lay his hand on its head, and kill it before Yahweh at the tent of meeting, and the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall sprinkle its blood around on the altar. 14 He shall offer from it as his offering, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that is on the innards. Leviticus 4. 3 If the anointed priest sins so as to bring guilt on the people, then let him offer for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bull of the herd, without defect, to Yahweh for a sin offering. For he shall bring in the bull to the door of the tent of meeting before Yahweh, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the bull, and kill the bull before Yahweh. 6 The priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times before Yahweh, before the veil of the sanctuary. 7 The priest shall put some of the blood of the bull on the horns of the altar of sweet incense before Yahweh, which is in the tent of meeting, and he shall pour out all of rest of the blood of the bull at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. 8 He shall take all the fat of the bull of the sin offering from it, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that is on the innards. 10 As it is taken from the bull of the sacrifice of peace offerings. The priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering. 11 The bull's skin, all its meat, with its head, and with its legs, its innards, and its dung. 18 He shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar which is before Yahweh, that is in the tent of meeting, and the rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. 19 All its fat he shall take from it, and burn it on the altar. 26 All its fat he shall burn on the altar, like the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, and he will be forgiven. 27 If any one of the common people sins unwittingly, in doing any of the things Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and is guilty. 28 If his sin, which he has sinned, is made known to him, then he shall bring for his offering a goat, a female without defect, for his sin which he has sinned. 30 The priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. Leviticus 5. 6 And he shall bring his trespass offering to Yahweh for his sin which he has sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a goat, for a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin which he has sinned, and he shall be forgiven. 8 He shall bring them to the priest, who shall first offer the one which is for the sin offering, and wring off its head from its neck, but shall not sever it completely. 9 He shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the altar. For it is a sin offering. 10 He shall offer the second for a burnt offering, according to the ordinance, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin which he has sinned, and he shall be forgiven. 16 He shall make restitution for that which he has done wrong in the holy thing, and shall add a fifth part to it, and give it to the priest, and the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and he will be forgiven. 17 If anyone sins, and does any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, though he didn't know it, yet he is guilty, and shall bear his iniquity. 18 He shall bring a ram without defect from of the flock, according to your estimation, for a trespass offering, to the priest, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning the thing in which he sinned and didn't know it, and he will be forgiven. 19 For he is certainly guilty before Yahweh. Leviticus 6. 1 Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, 2 If anyone sins, and commits a trespass against Yahweh, and deals falsely with his neighbor in a matter of deposit, or of bargain, or of robbery, or has oppressed his neighbor. 3 Or has found that which was lost, and dealt falsely therein, and swearing to a lie, in any of these things that a man does, sinning therein. For then it shall be, if he has sinned, and is guilty, he shall restore that which he took by robbery, or the thing which he has gotten by oppression, or the deposit which was committed to him, or the lost thing which he found. 5 Or any thing about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore it even in full, and shall add a fifth part more to it. He shall return it to him to whom it belongs in the day of his being found guilty. 1 Here the LXX inserts, a gift to the Lord, but this insertion is not in the scroll. 6Q2 Paleo-Leviticus. Language, Hebrew using the Paleo-Hebrew script. Date, 250 to 150 BC. Location, Qumran Cave 6. Leviticus 8. 12 He poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head, and anointed him, to sanctify him. 13 Moses brought Aaron's sons, and clothed them with coats, and tied sashes on them, and put headbands on them, as Yahweh commanded Moses.